Tonight's anime review is another request by OAW Faithful J Hollow. Salute to him. And if you have a request for an anime that you would like to see reviewed right here on OAW Entertainment, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. And with that being said, this is my review of the 1996 anime OVA Kimera. Let's get it started.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Greetings to everyone watching live and everyone watching after the fact. Shout out to the faithful and salute to the patrons. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. And yes, I am wearing a Space Jam tank top. So what? Big deal. You want to fight about it? Anyway, and I'm here to bring you all another anime review. We're gonna have several of these this month, so stay tuned. But yeah, so once again, another shout out to OAW Faithful J Hollow for this request. He hit me up towards the end of the month last month, right before June got booked, and requested this anime. So I'm just gonna give you all pretty much my thoughts. For the most part, I'll keep it as spoiler free as possible. I won't give too much away. But I'll give you all my rundown on the anime and whatnot. All right. So for the brief rundown, once again, I am referencing the information in the description box. So please feel free to read along below. All right. So this is my review of the 1996 anime OVA Kimera, based on the manga written and illustrated by Kazuma Kodaka and serialized in Super Jump. The original video animation was produced by Toho and licensed and released in English by ADV Films. And brief synopsis of Kimera. Strange lifepods have crashed in the Western Mountains, bringing with them supernatural beings previously found only in the realm of folklore and fantasy. Vampires walk the earth, at war with humanity and each other, driven by the most terrifying of genetic imperatives. Like wasps seeking a spider, they have come to this planet for only one purpose: to perpetuate their species. So that is a very brief rundown of pretty much what the main synopsis of Kimera is. I'll go into a little bit more detail to kind of fill you guys in on pretty much what's covered in the OVA. So essentially, yeah, it is the story of a young. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot my graphic. Oh, all right, here we go. So Kimera pretty much tells the story of a young man named Osum Osu. Osamu, who, along with his best friend, stumbled across a scientific research facility that is pretty much funded by the Air Force. It is an Air Force research facility where essentially they come across an alien. They find an alien, and throughout the course of the story, start to uncover a little bit more about what the alien is, where did the alien come from, how is it that the Air Force was able to get their hands on it, how they're able to keep it secret, this, that, and the other, right? But in the course of the story, Osamu ends up falling in love with said alien, and then he finds out that the alien is actually being targeted by two other aliens. And as you can imagine, pretty much once he assists the alien in escaping the facility, of course the manhunt is on. And we've kind of seen these stories before, so you guys can kind of follow me with where that's going. So of course the aliens and then of course the alien and Osamu get separated. So Osamu's looking for the alien, the Air Force is looking for the alien, and the two other aliens are also looking for the alien. And the alien in question is Kimera, who we discover is an androgynous vampire. But essentially, the aliens in this OVA are vampires. Yeah, yeah, yep, vampires. Yep, vampires from space. Space vampires. That's what we're dealing with in this OVA. Okay, so yeah. Kimera is an androgynous space vampire who is apparently sought after by its siblings, one of which wants to destroy Kimera for the exact reason that the other does not. One sibling wants to use Kimera to pretty much repopulate their vampire species. The other one doesn't. And so yeah, so that's pretty much the OVA in a nutshell. That's a brief synopsis of the plot of it. Yeah, it's a, I guess you could say, a four-way manhunt. Yeah. All right. So now that I got the synopsis out of the way, let me go ahead and get into some detail. Pretty much get into my critique. All right. So what's funny about this? What's funny about this OVA? So okay, first and foremost, let me go ahead and preface this discussion by reminding you all this OVA was released in 1996. Okay, 1996. This was, and you know what's funny about this? You can almost mark 96 as the year. For Japanese anime in America, this was like the final year of what I would consider to be the anime dark ages. There was a period in the early 90s, in the late 80s to early 90s, where I call it the anime dark ages because there were so many anime that either never made it stateside, or when they did make it stateside, they were fleeced by the time they got dubbed. And what I mean when I say fleeced is either they were re-edited, the dialogue was rewritten, um, or they were just censored. They were just censored to like no, you know, to no ends by the North American licensing companies, essentially. Um, so yeah, so it was a pretty rough couple, patch of years for, a lot of animes that were trying to make it, over in the West. And of course, the most successful animes, the animes that we would consider to be like legends, because remember, 1996 is also the same year as Ghost in the Shell. Okay. So, or I'm sorry, Ghost in the Shell is the fall of 95, and then it was released in the West like the spring of 96, right? So on VHS because it was released in the UK in like December of 95. But anywho, so yeah, so it's like, the big ones that we know about: Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, um let's see, by 96 we would have had, because 96, that's the year before Princess Mononoke, so we would have had like Nausicaa, we would have had Porco Rosso, My Neighbor Totoro, like those from Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. Let me see, what's Fist of the North Star, um Vampire Hunter D. I'm trying to think of some really like big, like old school big name ones, right? So anyway, like the most successful ones we know about, and I would argue that the reason why those were so successful was because their dubs were not as poor as some of the others. This one, on the other hand, is one of the ones that fell victim to a poor dub. I actually watched the English dub. And funny thing, the dub isn't as bad as I thought it would be, and it's not even as bad as some of the other dubs that were released around the same time. So it's not even the worst of that group, but you can definitely see where some changes were made, and you can definitely see where the production is sort of lacking. And what's funny about that is that's two pronged. So we have the OVA, which is an adaptation of the manga, which, for the record, the manga was only 2 volumes. So this OVA is like 48 minutes. I think, like, had this been like a 2-hour movie, you probably could have covered all of the source material in the manga. But instead, we take 2 volumes worth of manga and we crunch it down to 48 minutes, right? Which is essentially like 2 episodes, right? And then, so number one, a lot of stuff gets left out from that perspective. And then number two, now you take that 48-minute OVA, which was already crunched for time, and you bring it over to the States. And then once it gets dubbed, they 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 crunch it some more. You know what I mean? So some of the things I'm talking about. the biggest criticism about this OVA, because it was the first. I've never heard of this OVA. For the record, this is my first time hearing about it, first time watching it, never seen it before, never heard of it, and I go to Google it, and the first thing I run across is an article, pretty much criticizing the OVA because of the liberties that they took with it. Number one, Kimera. Remember, I said Kimera is an androgynous vampire alien, meaning that it doesn't have a specific gender. Chimera, I found out because I did some researching on the manga. Apparently, Chimera is is a mix of both genders. Because Chimera can actually fulfill the role of either gender. But in the OVA specifically, Chimera is a man. Not in the English dub. I'm assuming that's in the Japanese dub. Part of me, I was curious. Part of me did want to check out the Japanese dub to see, and but yeah, that was one of the changes that the ADV Films made to the English dubbed, and so like the OVA got a lot of criticism about that. Um, I'll be honest with you all. I don't think it matters, and I'm gonna tell you why in a couple of moments. I don't really think it matters the fact that that was changed, and I'll get into more detail with that when I get into the characters. But we're coming back to that, so keep that in mind. Okay, so all right, so let's talk brass tacks, people. All right, so here's the thing about this OVA that I found kind of funny, and then at the same time just kind of like ugh. Okay, there is not a single area that I can say that the OVA does, an okay job with, without there being almost an equal, if not greater, negative in the exact same department. So, what do I mean? Let's talk about the story, okay? Story wise, the lore in this story is actually really intriguing. I'm not going to tell you all how the lore works out because, like I said, I just told y'all it's alien vampires, but the way in which that lore is, I guess you could say, presented in this series, I thought was very, very interesting. Okay, so hey, Chimera, you have some interesting backstory. Cool. Guess what? We get it in one scene, one explanatory scene at the end of the OVA that lasts all of like maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Eh, you just negated it, bro. Just negated it. Despite that, let's talk about the main plot of the movie. So this OVA only has that's all it has is plot. That's all it has. There is no story here. There is only plot, meaning that it is just the skeleton. It is the bare bones. These are the important events that happen in the manga. Here they are in an OVA. That's it. It's just the bone. And pun intended, there's no flesh and blood in it. All right? It's just the bone. It's just the plot line. Okay? All of, some of the flesh, like, I don't know, how about, you know, subplots? How about getting us from point A to point B in a reasonable, rational manner, right? How about not so many leaps of faith, right? Like, how about we actually get to see events develop, flesh, like you might find in a story, you know? That's not here. Guess what else is in here? There's no blood in this either. Like character development, like the characters are actually characters, you know? They seem like they could exist within this universe. They might be well rounded. We might understand their motives, their wants, needs, and desires. We might know something about their personalities because no one has a personality in this old dude. The character, all the characters are set pieces. That's it. That's all they are. They're set pieces. Yeah. So no story development, no character development. It's hollow as all hell. All it is is a skeleton. That's it. That's all it is. So, yeah. All right. Let's talk about the characters. And let's just go ahead and knock out the big one. Kimera. Okay, guess what? Kimera doesn't have any dialogue. Every line uttered by Kimera in this OVA is in a flashback. And the flashback is relayed to the main character in covert manner. So it's not even like it's a conversation between him and another character sharing the story, right? No, man. No. Kimera isn't a character. It's a plot device. Kimera is in heat because remember, I mentioned it earlier. The reason why one of her siblings wants her and one of her siblings want to kill her is because she's a reproduction, or I keep saying it is a reproduction tool. But guess what? It is constantly in heat the entire time, and it doesn't say two words to the main protagonist. Yeah, that actually happens. I mean, Kimera might as well just be a dog. Honestly, at least dogs have more personality. Yeah. Now let's talk about Osamu. Let's talk about Osamu. Osamu he's not a character either. Dude. You know, I'm gonna tell you what Osamu is. You know what he is? He's a bystander. He's a witness to the events that unfolds, but he offers nothing in the story. The only thing Osamu actually does is he just saves Kimera twice. That's it. That's the only thing he actually does. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. He frees Kimera and then he saves Kimera because that distinct that a distinction between the two events I'm referring to. That's all he does in the entire thing. He does not do anything else. We don't know anything about him. Once again, he's not a character. Kimera's siblings, they are probably the closest thing to characters in the OVA. You want to know why? Because they have motivations. They have motivations. We know what they want. We know what it is they're trying to accomplish, and they actively take action in trying to accomplish those things, or at least one of them does. The other one, you can tell there's a lot of story with him that was cut out. That's the character of Keanu. You can tell there was a lot of story with him that just was not cut out. I mean, I'm sorry, that was just cut out, right? Because he shows up and then he vanishes and then he doesn't come back again until the end of the damn OVA. And I'm like, they clearly they cut out a lot of stuff, right? But like I said, at least with those two, we know what they want. We know, they seem to be the closest thing to characters in the OVA. Everybody else is just a set piece. You're just there because the script said so, but you don't actually contribute anything. You don't progress the story in any way. It's just the two vampire siblings. That's it. That's it. Mm. Okay, let's talk about the animation. There are some scenes that look really good, especially for taking in consideration it's 1996. And there are some scenes that look downright horrible. Muted moot point. Yeah, so wipe that off. Can't. Yeah. Let's talk about music and let's talk about sound editing and sound mixing. Because guess what? There's some cool sound effects in it. Like the first act of this film, you think you're watching a horror movie, which I think is the right term, the right I think that's the right tone for this OVA, right? Cool. There is some cool music in certain scenes. Double cool. Oh, and for the record, the copy I was watching, the audio quality was really good too in my headphones. So cool. But then there's some very inappropriate music at very inappropriate times. And then the voice acting, I'm not going to say the voice acting is terrible, but it's mediocre at best. Yeah, that happened again. Okay, so with that being said, final thoughts on this OVA. Well, I got to tell you guys, it's not the worst. It's not the worst anime I've ever seen. I've actually seen much worse. That being said, it's not particularly good either. And what's I'm gonna be real. Okay, so you want to know what's really funny about this? So this anime is not in my wheelhouse. This is totally outside of my purview, right? This anime offended just about every artistic sensibility I had, right? Like this is not my thing. That being said, I could still see the potential in the material. Like I said, the manga that this is based off of is only 2 volumes, and this is a 48-minute OVA. If it was a 2 hour movie, 120 minutes, yeah, you probably could have adapted the whole fucking thing, and it probably would have been a much better fucking product. I can see the potential, but I still have to judge the OVA based off of what I'm giving, and based off of what I'm giving, man, it's pretty rough. It's not the worst, but I I might not even go as far as to well, I don't even know if I could go as to say it's mediocre, because it's below average. It's below average, but it's not trash. It's not trash. Um, would I recommend it? No, because like I said, it offended my sensibility. So just it's a taste issue for me. I personally would not recommend it to anybody. Um, but that being said, I mean, there are some people. Hey, this might be in your wheelhouse. Who knows? But anywho, so that's my final thoughts on Chimera. It was an interesting viewing experience. But like I said, though, it very reminiscent of some lesser known animes from that time period. And like I say, it's pretty disappointing because I get the sense that because okay, Toho are the ones who made this OVA. And I'm like, dude, Toho is like what? I mean, I don't want to offend Toho, but Toho is like I don't want to offend them by calling them like the 20th Century Fox or the Warner Brothers of Japan, right? But they're a major um they're a major film company. I mean, Godzilla, all those kaiju movies, the Kurosawa films. I think the distribution for the early Studio Ghibli films, all of that, all of that, y'all love. Y'all got Toho to thank for that. Toho is a major production and distribution company in Japan. They made this. The fact that they did leads me to believe. I'm pretty sure this had a bigger fan base at one point in time. The adaptation was supposed to be a big deal, but the end result, I don't think lived up, man. I don't think it did. So those the breaks, man. Another one bites the dust. Like I said, thus was the fate of many a anime from that period. But oh well. All right, so once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank Jay Hollow for the request. Thank you, sir. Um, and I want to also go ahead and remind you all that if you have an anime that you would like to see me review right here on OAW Entertainment, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. The link is also in the description box below. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna keep this one short today, guys. I'm gonna keep this one short today, just because I'm hurting. I just came from the gym, first time since the quarantine, and yeah, I'm hurt right now. So, what to keep an eye out for? So Friday we will have a special commentary. I am not revealing to you all what the film is. I will only say this. This is the only hint you will get. I do believe that the film we will be watching on Friday is on, yes, it is on Netflix. It is on Netflix. So for all of you all who have Netflix, get it ready, queue it up. Friday, we will probably go at the same time, like 7 o'clock on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Friday. We will be doing a live commentary, my first ever live commentary on the channel, because all the other ones are on Patreon, which if you request an anime review, you also get access to that on Patreon. Let me see. Is this also on Hulu? It's not on Hulu. Okay, that's fine, but it is on Netflix. And I own it, so we all good there. All right, guys. Time for me to get out of here. I want to thank everyone once again for watching live. Thanks everyone for watching after the fact. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned. Got more coming for you guys. With that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I am signing off, and until next time, peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?